Last time on the 71 Cutlass restoration, we got the car on the rotisserie and acid washed. In today's video, we are going to be putting down some epoxy primer on the car. The purpose of epoxy primer is to seal the car so that it will not re-rust. The product we're going to be using is called CRE 321. You mix this 4 to 1 to 1, and the hardener in this is super cool. It's almost like honey. Then you reduce it with acetone and mix it all up. After that, we are ready to spray. You want to make sure that when you spray this stuff, you wear a paint suit and also a paint mask and everything because CRE gets everywhere when you spray it. I like to wear a full face mask just because we're going to be inside the car, and like I said, it just gets everywhere. Now, when spraying CRE, you're going to want to do a 25% overlap as you go. You're going to want to try and put it down as even as you can, because the more even that you're able to lay this down, the easier it's going to be able to sand and the easier you're going to be able to bodywork it. One of the biggest reasons why I love CRE is because yes, it's an epoxy primer, but it's also a high build primer. So we're going to be putting 4 coats on the hood and the deck lid, and then we're going to be putting 5 coats of CRE on the body. That's going to build it up enough and give us a good foundation to do our body work. Another important thing to remember when spraying primer is you always want to keep a wet edge, which means wherever you're spraying, you do not want it to dry. You want it to stay wet until you get all the way around the car. So we had to jump around in different spots so that it would stay wet. And it really is tricky doing a whole car because you have to have a game plan and you have to get on it before it flashes. Once it's flashed, we're going to go back and do another coat and continue that until we have 5 coats on the car. It is really nice to have a rotisserie when doing something like this because you can just flip the car up and stay in a comfortable position, and that's going to help the end result come out a lot better. Once the inside, the roof, and both of the quarters were finished, it was time to jump to the underside and get that coated in CRE. Of course, since this was Mike's first time shooting CRE, I let him shoot the last coat on the inside and the bottom. And this stuff really is user-friendly. It goes on pretty nice, and it's really hard to run. But Mike has a couple cars that he's wanting to restore, so this is good practice for him until we can get to those cars. So after laying down 5 coats on the body, it took us at least 3 to 5 hours to do this, but we are both extremely happy with how it came out. Doing a complete restoration is so much work, but I love finishing little steps like this because it's so satisfying, and this really is such a big step. Now we can start bodywork on top of this once we get the car back on the frame. But like I said, I'm so pleased with how this came out. Stay tuned for the next video on the restoration when we get this car back on the frame.